Conversations with Selwyn. Share the issues we live with. Yeah. Wanna know what you're feeling? Can you tell me what you think? Maybe we can talk it out.
Hey everyone, we want to welcome you to another episode of Conversations with Selwyn. It is Father's Day month, and I just wanted to do a special Father's Day tribute episode today, paying special homage, of course, to my own father, Selwyn Arnold Sr. And most of you who have dads who are still alive, or maybe you've had a great father in your life who has passed on, there's so much you could say about their legacy, so much you could say about their accomplishments. But today I want to talk a little bit about his character and just talk about a couple things. 2 points that I wanted to discuss with you guys. I want to address his character and also the things that he deposited and left in me. Bishop Jakes said it best when he said that it's not what you leave to your children, but it's really what you leave in them. And when my father passed in October of 2013, I can recall the grief that I felt. I remember arriving at the hospital and just finding that he had passed. There was this haunting shout that came from the core of my being. And I can recall all the grief, but what followed in the days to come was a tremendous sense of pride in him. There was a lingering sense of pride in him. And that's what brought me great comfort in the days that came up. There were so many people. There were so many people that came over and wanted to pay homage to him and pay respects to him, and they brought food and plates and trays of chicken and meat and all kinds of stuff, and they cooked up special stuff for us. There were people sending in text messages and WhatsApp messages and Facebook messages, and everyone just praying and encouraging us and keeping us in good spirits. And I began to see that the lives that he had touched over the years, people came from all over. I mean, from England, the Caribbean, even Africa, Oklahoma, Tennessee, all over the place. People came from churches that he had pastored, Bridgeport, Connecticut, and bishops from several states came over to pay their homage, and my sense of pride in him grew all the more. And there's 2 points I said I want to share with you. The first point is that my father didn't damage the pride that I had in him. He didn't damage the pride that I had in him. Over the years, I watched him study. I've watched him lead. I've watched and read the works that he's published. I watched him preach, teach, mentor, counsel, build, and enhance others. And yet he still had time to help me with my homework. He still had time to come and counsel with me if he saw that I was sad or depressed, or if he saw that I was having difficulty in any area of my life. He still made time for me. And that built my sense of pride in him tremendously. And during the latter parts of his illness, it was really painful to watch this gentle giant of a man be reduced to someone who was helpless at this point. I mean, he was intellectually a giant. He was administratively a giant. He was so personal and relatable, but this disease had attacked his strength. For my dad, his strength was in his mind and in his heart, and this was the very thing that was attacked in the latter days of his illness. He suffered from dementia and alzheimer's, And if there's anyone out there who has a family member who's ever struggled with that or is facing that right now, you'll know that it's a very slow yet devastating condition that chips away at a person's memories, their confidence, their trust in others, or even their ability to just carry out everyday routine actions. But what's the most sad to watch is that ultimately it erodes their happiness. And my dad had lived a very full life with a lot of sacrifice, and it just didn't seem fair that he would have to struggle with this illness, or that he would have to go that way. And I remember the Spirit of God just really comforting me, while also giving me a harsh reality that this is the human condition. This is the human condition, and oftentimes we will feel a great sense of injustice when we lose those we love, or if they're taken from us too soon. Too soon. The human condition is one of imperfection and suffering and setbacks and all of these things that we deal with. It's a part of the human condition, which is why we have to spend our time so wisely and encouraging and building one another and ensuring that we make sure that we love one another. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was that I didn't damage the pride that he had in me. I didn't damage the pride that he had in me. He didn't damage the pride that I had in him, and I didn't damage the pride that he had in me. I remember a specific day when I'd come over to the house where my dad's staying, and I was getting ready to take him out, just kind of get him out the house, help him get dressed and brush his teeth and do all of that stuff. And I was getting ready to take him out, and I didn't realize it, but that day he actually couldn't remember who I was. And it's kind of a surreal experience to see the joy and pride on his face when he realized who I was. I remember taking him for a ride in the car and just having a regular old chit chat with him, whatever he felt like talking about that day. And after we had made a couple stops and we were headed back home, I remember I was driving. I usually have my left hand on the steering wheel and my right hand on the gear stick. And he was in the passenger seat, and he touched my hand, and he looked at me and he paused and he said, "You still haven't told me who you are. You're so kind, you're helpful, you're respectful. How comes you haven't told me who you are? You haven't told me your name?" And I was really stunned by the comment. But it touched my heart, and I said to him, I remember I held his hand with my other hand, and I said, "I'm your son. I'm your son." And his eyes kind of welled up, and I just saw this smile of pride, joy, and appreciation just come over his face, and he said, "Oh my, you mean to tell me that a young man like you is my son? I'm so proud." And that hit me like a ton of bricks, I remember. And as messed up as it is that in the context of his illness, he couldn't remember the 34 years of life that we had spent together, it oddly gave me this sense of solace, that it was as if it was the first time he was being introduced to me, and his first impression or his first reaction was joy and pride. I'm sharing these personal memories with you because it's so important that we make sure that we do not damage the pride that we have in each other, particularly as fathers and sons. We need to maintain the pride that we have in others who have instilled things into us: mentors, teachers, pastors, leaders, spiritual fathers, dads. We need to maintain that pride that we have in them, and they also need to be able to maintain a pride that they also have in us as sons. So the statement goes both ways generationally. So I want to point out to you today that any relationship can really be damaged through poor decisions and also through attitudes or mindsets that dishonor the relationship. A father's pride in his son, I'll give you an example. A father's pride in his son is tested when the son makes bad choices. Or if the son makes bad choices to rebel, he scoffs at advice or instruction. Or if the son acts like he really doesn't care what his father's trying to tell him. Or if the son distances himself, he doesn't call, he doesn't visit. As in the old days, they used to say, you don't write anymore, and sometimes a father loses confidence and pride in his son when the son is always holding out his hand and offers nothing in return. It's so sad to watch. And but on the flip side, a son's pride in his father is tested when the father uses his strength and position to be abusive or cruel and spiteful. The Bible doesn't give kids too much leeway when it comes to obedience and honor. We just got to do it. But it cautions the fathers not to provoke their sons to wrath. And that provocation often comes with cruelty and abuse. When a person in seniority uses their power brashly instead of using it to protect and to help others, what often happens is that the respect that others had for them begins to erode. And it's almost as if they're doing it to themselves. They're eroding their own honor and respect that others had for them. They do it with their words. They do it with their actions. They do it with decisions. They do it sometimes out of spite, So this two-way relationship of healthy pride, it's really about recognizing and honoring the true strengths and beauties and the tremendous value that lies in this bond, in this family, that both father and son, or mother and daughter, or parent and child, or leader or follower, they can understand that they share this unique bond and purpose in one another's lives. So unless we see the value in one another, we can lose that healthy pride. And in turn, we can lose our direction, we can lose our focus, and we can lose our purpose. As my father's son, as my dad's kid, I realized that I'm really a part of a bigger chain, a longer chain. I don't exist in isolation. I'm really linked to my dad, as one day my sons will be linked to me. And this is true in the natural as it is in the spiritual, especially in areas of leadership or any form of mentoring. Even the abuses in these relationships can be healed, mended, and strengthened, and honor can be restored. The last thing I want to leave with you is that particularly on Father's Day and Father's Day month for men, honor, pride, and respect pretty much equate to love for men. It's different for women, but for men, the way we think and the way we operate, the way we interact with others. Pride, honor, and respect really equates to love. So I want you to show your fathers that you are proud of them. This month, show your fathers that you're proud of them, and also show them and live your life in such a way so that they can be proud of you. Because the pride, that healthy pride, goes both ways. All right, I just wanted to share this with you guys for a Father's Day tribute to all the dads out there, in the natural and also in the spiritual. If you're a spiritual father, or people look to you as a spiritual father, some of you folks look to you as a spiritual father and you have no idea. They look to you as a mentor or a father that they don't have or didn't have. And you have no idea what footprints you are leaving behind for others to follow. All right. But thank you for tuning in for today's conversation. And I hope it sparks some conversations between you and your dads. If they're here and they're still around, love on them. Tell them that you love them, that you appreciate them, that you honor them, that you respect them and the lives that they've led, especially as those lives have impacted you in such a tremendous way. All right, God bless, guys.
Conversations with Selwyn.